What even is Oh, it's Ola. How did I forget Ola? What am I doing? How did I forget that? I took 2 years of Spanish and I forgot how to say hi. I watched freaking Go Diego Go for my entire childhood, and I forgot the most basic word in the Spanish language. Marvel Strike Force. It's a mobile game. I've been playing this thing since the pandemic. It's a lot of fun. Love the game, but there is a little problem, I would say, that I'm wanting to address, and I actually recorded this a few months ago, and just haven't gotten around to editing it, so much to the point where they're actually introducing a team in the game called the Symbiote 6, which we don't have details on yet, but it's definitely going to impact the validity of this video. So at this point, I'm just trying to get it out there. Maybe they'll address all my concerns with the new team. So anyways, my team pitch, right? If any of you guys play Marvel Strike Force, you will know that symbiotes have not gotten a lot of love in recent years. They had the Hive Mind team that came out, I want to say that was 3 years ago. A lot of the original symbiotes have simply not received any sort of rework or stat increase since they came out. Definitely don't have a 5 diamond level 110 gear tier 20 symbiote Spider-Man on my roster. Basically, what I'm doing here is I am pitching a potential team idea to see, just to get the word out, and on the off chance Scopely somehow manages to watch the video, maybe they take the idea and they do it, you know? At the very least, I'm speaking my mind, I'm throwing an idea out there, and I'm doing my part to contribute to the betterment of this game. So, the name for this potential team is, I'm calling it Codex, because that is a super cool name, and it sounds a lot better than Symbiote 6. So I'm going to go over some potential reworks that I would like to see on specific characters, and then address who would slot into this team, that sort of thing. So, the 3 main people that I'm going to be addressing the reworks for are going to be Null, Symbiote Spider-Man, and Anti-Venom. Null is a phenomenal plug-and-play character. He slots into so many different teams, and he has been out for, I want to say, almost a year now, if not more than a year. And because of that, he fits into pretty much any symbiote team you put him on. So he's not necessarily just a member of this team. This is more just a slight grievance I have with his existing kit I would like to see addressed. So on his special, Symbiote Cyclone, he has an ability where if the character does not have trauma, transfers all negative effects from each ally to self, then flip all negative effects on self. Copy 3 random positive effects, excluding stealth and taunt, from self to each ally, and heal self for 15% of his max health. My only grievance with this ability as it stands currently is I feel like it should have slightly more synergy with symbiotes. I think the fact that he only spreads the 3 positive effects just regardless of character is a little odd. So in my revised version, what I would suggest is he copies 3 random positive effects, excluding stealth and taunt, from self to each ally. He copies all positive effects from self to symbiote allies. I think that's just a nitpick I have that I would like to see addressed. So moving on, Anti-Venom. Okay, in my humble opinion, this should probably be the best support in the game, because Anti-Venom is technically the best healer in the Marvel Universe, because the Anti-Venom symbiote is just that strong. So here's what I would say we do with his kit. So, old ability. Attack primary target for 250% damage, apply bleed in the opposite of 2 random positive effects on this character to primary target. Heal the most injured non-summoned ally for 10% of the character's max health and clear your heal block. This attack cannot be dodged. So honestly, this is probably one of those abilities where I actually don't think that there's just too much wrong with it. As it stands, I just think it needs a slight damage increase and then change the damage to piercing, because Anti-Venom only has 2 abilities that actually do damage, and they're both single target attacks. So he has no like AoE damage of any sort. So I think, and also just by the nature of Anti-Venom, like his portrayal in the comics, I think it should probably be piercing damage. So for his new ability, it's going to stay largely the same. Attack primary target for 300% piercing, plus apply bleed and the opposite of 2 random positive effects on this character to the primary target. And then the rest of the kit is the exact same, you know, heal, clear hero block, and can't be dodged. Now for the special, this one I had a lot of fun with brainstorming because this is kind of Anti-Venom's, like, in my opinion, should be Anti-Venom's bread and butter. It's, I would argue, probably the strongest ability of his original kit, simply because he can revive a character. So, as it stands, clear heal block on all allies, apply immunity to all allies. Heal all allies for 20% of this character's max health, revive a dead symbiote ally with 60% base health, and if there are no symbiote allies to revive, gain 3 ability energy. His new version, clear heal block on all allies, and apply immunity and safeguard to all allies. If this character has 2 or more Codex allies, reduce the duration of all negative effects on self and all symbiote allies by 2. Any negative effect that has a duration of 0 expires instantly, including trauma. Heal all allies for 20% of this character's max health, revive a dead symbiote ally with 60% base health, and if there are no symbiote allies to revive, gain 3 ability energy. The only thing we have left to go over is his passive, Wretched Healer. So his old version, on turn, clears 1 negative effect from the most injured ally that has a negative effect. If this ally is a symbiote, clear 1 negative effect from all other symbiote allies with a negative effect. Gain regen, when this character drops below 50% max health, gain evade. So for his new one, it's going to add a lot more survivability to the symbiotes. Clear 1 negative effect from the most injured ally that has a negative effect. If that ally is a symbiote, clear 3 negative effects from all other symbiote allies with a negative effect on turn. Gain regeneration. When this character drops below 50% max health, gain evade. And if a symbiote ally drops below 50% max health, they get evade applied to them. And when this character is not at full energy, symbiote allies cannot gain bleed or heal block. Now, Symbiote Spider-Man, or Spider-Man parentheses symbiote as the game likes to refer to him. This character is the reason I started playing the game. He has technically gotten only 1 rework, and I honestly don't even know if I'd even call it that. So, regardless, he has not gotten any love in almost 6 years, and I personally feel like he is long overdue for that. This kit gets a little crazy, but it's all grounded in current characters, so it's actually not as crazy as it sounds, and I will go through and explain them. Alright, we'll start with his basic. His old version, attack primary target for 210% damage and apply defense down for 2 turns. Rebound chain to 2 adjacent targets for 170 damage and apply defense down for 2 turns. This attack cannot be countered. Okay, first off, 170% damage on the rebound chain is simply diabolical, so we're gonna work on that. So his revised version is attack primary target for 280% damage and apply defense down and slow for 2 turns and flip 2 positive effects to negative effects. Rebound chain to 2 adjacent targets for the same amount of damage and the same effects. This attack cannot be countered and he gains evade. Alright, so going to his special, I don't think this one needs just too much. Again, more just about upscaling damage and then adding an additional effect or 2. So his old version is attack primary and adjacent targets for 300% damage. Increase the duration of all their negative effects by 1, plus apply bleed to each target. I personally think the duration increase of negative effects is perfect because it does apply to trauma and it also applies to stun. And that's something a lot of characters who prolong negative effects don't have currently. So I think it would be really nice if they could keep that the way it is. Revised, we're doing attack primary and adjacent targets for 350% damage. Increase duration of all negative effects by 1 and apply 2 bleed to each target. And then apply offense up for 2 turns to self and all symbiote allies. I think the offense up is a decent buff. For reasons I'll explain once I finish going over his kit. And then for his ultimate, alright, this one I had a lot of fun with, Web Slam. His old version is attack primary target for 340% damage and apply stun. Attack all other enemies for 260% damage, apply slow to all targets, and this attack is unavoidable and cannot be blocked. So what I did for this one is attack primary target for 380% damage and apply stun. Attack all other enemies for 340% damage. Apply slow and heal block to all targets for 2 turns. If the primary target has a negative effect, and if this character has 2 Codex allies, reduce the duration of all positive effects on all enemies by 2. Any positive effect that has a duration of 0 expires instantly, including safeguard. This attack is unavoidable and cannot be blocked. And finally, for his passive, we have Perfect Host. Now, this is where it's going to get interesting, because one of my historic grievances with Symbiote Spider-Man is most of his value is locked behind certain modes, game modes. And I personally do not like that. And yeah, we'll go ahead and go over that. So, in Raids and Dark Dimension, when a negative effect is applied to an enemy, heal self and all Hero, Spider-Verse, and Symbiote allies for 3% of the character's max health. Gain 100% drain, Symbiote allies gain 100% drain. Gain 15% dodge chance, gain 30% max health. Symbiote and Hero, Spider-Verse allies gain 30% max health. Okay, the new kit, right? I don't think Symbiote Spider-Man's utility should be completely locked in Raid and Dark Dimension. I do think those are important modes for him to gain value out of, simply because historically the symbiotes have always been a bio raid team. But also, I don't think that symbiotes should just exclusively be bio raid teams. I know Web Warriors was a bio raid team. Hive Mind was a bio raid team. Spider Society was, for the most part, a bio raid team. I think they had a couple skill characters in there. One of the things about symbiotes in the comics that I enjoy is simply the sheer adaptability of them. Like, they can fight, they can be city level, they can be fighting in space, like all that. So I don't feel like symbiotes should be solely restricted to a single mode. I feel like you should be able to get really good value out of them, regardless of its Crucible, if it's Arena, if it's War. I honestly think that this should be a top 5 team overall. So call me crazy. Maybe it's only top 5 if you have Null slotted in. I don't know, but I do think it's worth considering making symbiotes a meta team, like overall, because I just don't think they ever have been. All right, so here is the revised passive. When a negative effect is applied to an enemy, heal self and all Hero, Spider-Verse, and Symbiote allies for 1% of this character's max health. Gain 25% drain. Symbiote allies gain 25% drain. And in Raids and Dark Dimension specifically, they get 100% drain, and they heal 3% of their max health when a negative effect is applied to an enemy. I think this achieves a happy balance between the two, because they're still getting healing, they're still getting drain. It's just not to the same degree, because obviously I think 100% drain might just be a little excessive, you know? So, gain 30% dodge chance, and symbiote allies gain 15% dodge chance. Previously, Symbiote Spider-Man only gets the 15% dodge chance. I personally don't understand that. He should have a higher dodge chance, even if it's just by 5% than the base Spider-Man, because he is the symbiote. He's faster, he's stronger, he's tougher. That's how it works. And then giving other symbiotes passive dodge chance, I just think makes sense, because they're symbiotes, right? Again, they're stronger, they're faster, they're tougher. It's giving them added survivability that the team has just not had previously. And then gain 30% max health, Hero, Spider-Verse, and Symbiote allies gain 30% max health. Before we go over any other potential members of Codex, I think my biggest issue with symbiotes historically, this is completely excluding Hive Mind. The symbiote team did not have any effects on spawn, and I don't even necessarily have grievance with that. It's just all of their abilities, all of their positive effects were extremely dependent on their ability to do damage to the other team. So what I feel like they should do with the Codex team is its trade-off. They don't have a ton of positive effects on spawn, if any. Null spawns in with defense up, but again, he's a plug-and-play, not necessarily a part of this team. But what's going to happen is once they get going, once they start getting that turn meter, once they start just taking turns, they're going to be extremely difficult to kill, because they're going to be dodging, they're going to be getting drained, and then if you don't have anti-venom ability blocked, he's just gonna cleanse everything. And I think that's how symbiotes should be played. And they're going to be healing themselves a ton, and they're going to be making you miss attacks. So you have got to take that into account when you're playing against them. And as far as other characters I'd like to see get reworked who are symbiotes and potentially slotted into this team, I know that there are a ton of symbiotes to choose from in terms of characters. Riot, Toxin, Agony, like, I think there's an Anti-Venom Carnage hybrid thing now. Silence exists, which actually, let's talk about that real quick. Strike Force has an amazing opportunity with Silence if they introduce her as a new symbiote. Because what you could do with Silence, right, is you have a character who has the exact same name as the negative effect she inflicts. And that would be so freaking funny, because imagine you're playing against Silence and you get Silence applied to you by Silence. That would be such a funny thing that Scopely could do, and I really want to see it. But honestly, I would actually really like to see Silence just as a new symbiote character. Purely just because of the joke. I think that would be hilarious. And as far as older characters I'd like to see reworked outside of the ones we just went over, I think Scream deserves a really hefty rework because she is so freaking weak right now. I have her gear tier 19, 3 diamonds, level like 105, just out of the pure kindness of my heart. And I'm pretty sure most of my gear tier 20s will just straight up one-shot her with their basic. And that's just so brutal. Like, she doesn't even have like 2 million health. I don't even think she has like 1.3 million right now. It's egregious. And I feel like either with Scream or if you did Silence, one thing they could do is make a symbiote give the Codex team some speed bar protection, because as it stands currently, the symbiotes really get destroyed if they don't get speed bar, because they are extremely speed bar heavy. I think specifically Gwenpool in War with 4 retcon allies has a passive where the enemy just cannot gain additional speed bar, which kind of cripples symbiotes. And I mean, to be fair, retcon is like the #1 war defense team currently, but I do think it would be nice to have a symbiote who basically just makes it so the Codex or symbiote team just doesn't have the option to get their speed bar tampered with. And that might be too overpowered. That might be overkill. I don't know. I'm spitballing. But I would love to see Scream get a rework. I'd love to see Silence added purely for the joke. And then maybe you throw in Riot because most people know him from the Venom movie. Maybe you could do Toxin. You know, there you have options of other symbiotes you can add. But yeah, that's my breakdown. I hope by some stretch of the imagination, Scopely manages to see this video. And hey, so y'all have a good one. God bless. Stay safe. Next time I'll be on here, I will have my diploma.